But let's read this first story from CNN. Trump unleashes new threat to American democracy. I think this should actually be titled something like CNN has Trump derangement syndrome and they are unhinged. Trump basically just said the things he always says. I got to be honest. The headline should actually be, "We're lying to scare people. The president said the same thing he said last month." I mean, look, he gave a speech. I guess, Cassandra, you liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was fun.
But wasn't it like he was just like bringing back a lot of the same talking points? Like
it sounded like usual campaign Trump.
Right.
And I personally love that, but it wasn't anything outrageous. It wasn't different. It wasn't anything he hasn't said before. Let me
read some of this. Donald Trump has no remorse about the deadly violence he incited with his lies about a stolen election and his uprising against the U.S. Congress.
Wow.
Definitively, Donald Trump did this, and it's okay. This much was clear when the ex-president put the Republican Party on notice Sunday that he intends to use his hold on its grassroots to try and suppress the vote heading into the presidential election in 2024. What does that mean? In which he hinted he might run. How is he suppressing the vote? If he doesn't run, no one's going to vote for the Republican. I mean, there will be some people voting Republican, but this is just absolutely hilarious. They go on to mention that he rags on the Supreme Court, and they say, last seen leaving Washington in disgrace. The ex-president's self-regarding wander through old political fights emphasized his obsession with revenge. At a time when the attention on the majority of the nation, not in his camp, is concentrating on more immediate concerns. The distribution of a third COVID vaccine. Yeah. Okay, we get it. It's just the most bombastic language you could possibly imagine.
I just want to point out one thing. They're saying that most people are focusing on the vaccine. The White House had a press conference at the exact same time as Trump's speech about a new vaccine, and literally nobody watched it.
Why would you?
Nobody watched it. Everybody was watching Trump's speech. Like they're so like detached from reality. Even people who hate Trump are addicted to him.
Yeah.
And so all eyes were on that.
Someone pointed out there was like a meme going around of like the White House press briefing or whatever on COVID or something. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what it was because I didn't know what was happening. And it didn't even break 1 million views. And then Trump's speech had like 300,000, like 3.5 million views.
Yeah,
like an hour. Trump had 1 million people watching at one time.
Whoa.
It was like 900,000 people were watching him give his speech. Some ridiculous number.
Yeah,
dude. So check this out. Let me pull up the unhinged. I'm just going to read the headline. Vox.com writes, "The Republican revolt against democracy explained in 13 charts. The Trump years revealed a dark truth. The Republican Party is no longer committed to democracy. These charts tell the story." When we get media like CNN saying this crazy stuff, there's no effort at all to try and like calm people down. Calm down. He's just speaking at a Republican convention. He's just smack talking. It's political rhetoric. Just chill out. No, they're like, this is the end. He is unleashing a new threat, and Republicans have abandoned democracy. Like, do they want fighting and violence?
Yes. It's good for ratings.
I think so, yeah.
Their clicks have to be way down right now. There's
seriously.
no boogeyman.
CNN's ratings went down 40% the week after Joe Biden came in office.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. So they're bleeding money. I guess Jim Acosta got replaced. Jeff Zucker is planning on leaving. Like CNN's. So yeah, they're definitely like, what do we do?
All I keep thinking is this is the kind of stuff that I would like to see written about a president that authorized the bombing of Syria and blaming an Iraqi militia that may or may not have, was it Iraqi, Iranian militia?
Yeah.
Like
the New York Times was like Iranian-backed militias, and then in the article, we don't know if that's true. Actually,
you want to talk about a threat to democracy? Like that should be what the focus of this vitriol is, but instead it's Trump's.
It's bombing with diversity, though.
Yeah.
Well, so then you can go to sleep. It's like all these Democrats tweeting like, isn't it great having military action under Biden? We can all rest easy. Why? What's the difference? A bombing's a bombing.
This is what turned me off of the left originally. I was protesting more under Bush. I was a leftist until 6 years ago. I protested like crazy during Bush. And then under Obama, everybody disappeared except for like a few Code Pink people and stuff. Everybody was like, went back to sleep, didn't care. And I was watching and he was droning everyone. And I was like, hey guys, are we still anti-war? What's going on?
You're not a racist, are you? You wouldn't
apparently
criticize Obama.
Yeah. don't want to bomb little brown kids in foreign nations.
There you
So,
go.
like, I'm a monster.
No, see, that's colorism because Obama is actually more brown. It's not racist when he bombs them because they have color, like they have white privilege.
That makes sense.
Colorism is a thing they've started
Yeah,
talking
I'm
about.
tracking.
What is it?
Oh gosh.
Like the lighter your skin, apparently you get like certain privileges, I guess. So it's like, I guess the idea was that when they started talking about white privilege, the problem was that Asians typically have like higher incomes and
yeah.
education. So they're like, well, I mean, if you're closer to white, then you have privilege too. So that explains it. It doesn't,
Sure,
but you know.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
let me pull up these charts because this is crazy stuff. Look at it. So Vox.com first. Today's Republicans really hate Democrats and democracy. 1. Trump supporters have embraced anti-democratic ideas. This is not true. It's just false framing. But let me show you what they say. MAGA supporters who support Trump's election fraud claims, nearly 100% of Trump supporters support his claims on fraud. Distrust the election results, same percentage, nearly 100%. Believe voting shouldn't be easier, about 90%. Distrust 2020 congressional election results, about 80%. Want a third term for Trump, only about 70% want a third term for Trump. But I'll tell you, not trusting the election system does not mean you oppose democracy or democratic ideas. It means you think one thing was wrong.
Well, when I was on the left, we didn't trust the election results either. I mean, they rigged it against Bernie. I still believe that. I never believed election results. I remember even under like Bush, I was like, there's no way this guy got a second term. I don't trust this. Like I've always thought elections were rigged. And I always think of the Mark Twain quote where he's like, if, you know, voting actually mattered, they wouldn't let you do it.
It would be illegal.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've always thought that.
I love
It's
how. So when that shadow campaign article came out from Time Magazine, I posted something like, you know, they said they started this campaign against not against anybody. They started a campaign to fortify the election in fall of 2019. And I'm like, so these high profile Democrats started colluding, conspiring, as per Time Magazine's own words, in fall during the Democratic primaries. And do you not realize that was like against Bernie too?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I'll point that out, and then I get a wave of these lefties on Twitter saying things like, you know, the far right is only pretending to support Bernie Sanders or whatever. And I'm like, I'm pointing out that you're getting ripped off.
Nobody
Why would you be
voted
upset?
for Bernie or for Biden and Kamala in the primaries.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
at first, until the you know, Buttigieg and whoever else all dropped out at the exact same
And
time.
the smear campaigns against Tulsi and Bernie. And I mean, I didn't see any like Biden stickers anywhere. I saw Bernie stuff everywhere. I saw Tulsi stuff. And they just went full force fortifying it, you know, for their chosen
Fortifying.
people.
Check this out. Say number 2, Republicans are embracing violence. Now, this one's actually interesting. They asked a question. This is from American Perspective Survey, January 2021. If elected leaders won't protect America, the people must act, even if that means violence. 39% of Republicans agree. 17% of Democrats agree. The interesting thing is, I bet if you were to add progressives to Democrats, because I doubt it's the same thing, you ask like an Antifa or Black Lives Matter person or a Democrat, they're going to say no.
Right.
Screw the Democrats. So they're not in this poll. Probably, I'm just speculating, I bet it would be like 75%. You add all those people and they're all going to say, oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
It's crazy because Thomas Jefferson said the same thing. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think we need to take it there, but what was it? The blood of patriots?
The tree of liberty
Yeah,
must
yeah.
be refreshed with the blood of patriots.
Brutal letter. It's a lot longer than that, but he has
wild.
this like one line at the bottom where he says, you know, what does he say? From time to time, the tree of liberty must be, what does he say? Watered? The blood
yeah.
of
The blood of
patriots and tyrants.
It is its natural manure.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Dude was
But how
he
did
was a
they word
realist.
that
he was
question?
Antifa.
They said
I
that
just triggered a whole lot of people.
Oh,
that
gosh.
are angry.
I'm actually offended. I love Thomas Jefferson.
I do too.
Oh, dude,
I am
yeah.
offended.
He didn't
No,
like
he's
fascism.
amazing.
He's epic.
I've got a collection of Thomas Jefferson coins in like a
Coins,
special
yeah.
little thing.
Nice.
He's a
I have a
musician.
Thomas
No,
Jefferson
Thomas
ring.
Jefferson is not Antifa. I was just
Dude.
joking. Anti-government, violent.
Well, he was anti-fascist, I'm sure.
That's technically
I
correct.
think. I don't know much about him.
Yeah, but like the problem is Antifa is a brand that has nothing to do with opposing fascism.
That's a good point.
It's
Yeah.
like communists complaining about fascists, but they're just as bad because they're only slightly different. You know, It's like two murderers, and one guy's like, yeah, but I use a gun, and he uses a rifle. It's
I'm interested
the same
about this
thing, dude.
this poll that you talked about, where 37% of Republicans. How many people did they poll? Who are they polling?
What
They didn't say.
The question was, America must be protected even with violence. Is that what they said?
If elected leaders won't protect America, the people must act, even if that means violence.
What I don't see, that question should be 100% of people agreeing.
Yeah.
If you're not going to protect America, then yeah, of course Americans like that.
Well, you see how they're framing it, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If leaders
It's
won't
odd.
protect America, what is that? If like China lands on the shores of
Right.
San Diego,
Joe Biden.
we just say, oh, they're not doing anything. I might as well just go and run.
I mean,
No,
I
people
don't
would-
think that means like that they want to go do violence, for political
It's
reasons
defensive.
necessarily. Like that question is, would you protect America? And everybody should say yes to that. I think
Yeah.
that they worded that a little bit.
It's weird.
It's a gotcha.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Let me read what they write. They say the ultimate expression of anti-democratic politics is resorting to violence. More than twice as many Republicans as Democrats, nearly 2 in 5 Republicans, said in a January poll that force could be justified against their opponents. So I guess it's against their opponents. It would be easy to dismiss this kind of finding as meaningless were it not for the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill. I'm sorry, these people are so duplicitous. We had a year of riots from Antifa. We had 19 dead people plus peripheral, I think it's another 12 or 13 in the periphery that were killed during these riots and stuff like that. We had in the Chaz, the armed guards unloading for 10 minutes, hundreds of rounds into an SUV, killing 2 teenagers. And they never talk about it because they are duplicitous, manipulative liars.
Antifa attacked a federal building 2 nights ago in Portland.
Wow.
Shh.
Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
What happened?
They attacked, what was it, the U.S. Customs building, I believe. They started vandalizing it, spray painting it. People in Portland actually were going out in the streets and yelling at them. It was pretty interesting.
Really?
Yeah. But nobody talked about it. That was an attack on a federal building,
That's horrific.
but it happened at night. So it's not terror.
Right.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
undercover
Yeah.
I think Portland, I totally support Antifa in Portland. Yeah, 100%. You know why?
They deserve it.
Well, they voted for it.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Those people are going to destroy that city. They're going to get scared because it's going to get violent. It's going to get unsafe. And then they're going to flee to the red areas that are safe. And then they're going to vote for the same crap
Yeah.
that got them into that mess.
Yep.
So they're fleeing to Texas. They're going to destroy Texas. They're, the problem is that once they destroy it, they're going to come and destroy our places too. If they had just stayed there and we had a big wall around it and we were like, do your thing, I'd be like, okay, cool. Wipe each other out. I don't care.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going to happen. They're going to flee, and they're going to flee to red areas because they're safe. And then they're going to vote for the same policies that got them into the mess in Portland.
And you're saying
Yeah.
they voted for the governor that is willing to tolerate the street violence?
Well, all of their officials, their local officials.
City council
city-
members.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, those people are crazy.
And then you see them fleeing to Texas, and they're all fleeing to red areas because those are the safe ones. And it's like, are you guys thinking about why those are the safe areas?
They never do.
Ooh, is it guns?
It might be guns.
It might be guns.
Might be.
Yeah, there's a ton of videos from when Antifa tried going into like some red areas and they just got stomped.
An armed society is a polite society.
Correct.
I think they're saying in L.A. they wouldn't go down on the Crenshaw Boulevard. Like
Oh, they know
down-
where they can't go.
There's
Where the
area-
people have guns.
Yeah,
That's
right.
really it. So even if it's in a city that banned guns, they won't go anywhere near that stuff. Yeah. But the way I see it with Portland is all of these people voted for it, and now I'm supposed to feel bad for them. I hear what you're saying. We'll have to be prepared for that when they start, trying to come in. And there was a funny thing. I was at a gun shop, and this guy was telling me, he's like, oh, yeah, all the liberals are starting to move into the red areas. We can tell because they'll be complaining about, like, my neighbor's trash or something, or, like, the neighbor, put something on their lawn, and we all look at them like, so?
My local Facebook group, there was a thread with like hundreds of people involved, and they're all like, we need to start telling people from Massachusetts and New York and DC how bad it is here, and how we
Yes.
have monsters and our frogs bite and we play
Your
banjo all
frogs
night.
bite.
Yeah, it was really funny, and everybody was just like, we normally would want people to move here. We want to be inclusive. We're nice people, but they're gonna ruin our community.
Yeah,
so
glad they're
let's keep
figuring
them out.
What if you couldn't vote in an area that you moved to for like 3 years or something?
I say this all the time on Twitter, and people attack me and say that I'm anti-democracy. But I honestly believe that you shouldn't be able to run for office, especially if you haven't lived somewhere for a while. And I think that you should have less say in local politics if you just moved in.
I agree.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
Yeah, I
that
mean-
people who have established roots should have a little bit more say on like local politics.
Think about like Mitt Romney bouncing around the country because he's rich. He owns
Yeah.
property in a bunch of different places, and then he's like, oh, "I'm gonna run for office as a for the Senate in Utah."
Yeah,
just
and-
because I'll sign a piece of paper saying I live here now.
It goes even in local politics. You have people who don't even live in the community running for the school board and stuff. We have people running school boards in red areas that are from blue areas and have completely different politics in the local community, and it's not right.
The problem with the system is that the changes you need to secure the system take longer than the exploits to destroy them.
Right.
So you'll get someone from a blue area thinking, I'm going to go and teach all these redneck kids how to be, anti-racist. And then the parents don't realize these people are coming in.
Right.
And then by the time they're like, we got to change this, it's like, congratulations. In 5 years, you might actually change the system. And by then, your kids are going to be 17 and they're going to be totally indoctrinated with this stuff.
Yep.
There you go. So here's another interesting one from the Vox article. They say, Republicans see Democrats as something worse than mere rivals. Republicans who consider Democrats as enemies, 57%. Political opposition, 43%. And Democrats who consider Republicans as enemies is 41%. And political opposition, 59%.
I don't believe it.
No, I don't believe it either. That flies in the face of the Echelon Insights, where
that?
they asked, it's a company. They asked Democrats what their, how concerned they are with various things. The most threatening thing to the Democrats was Trump supporters. The second biggest concern, white nationalism, white supremacy, blah, blah, blah. For the Republicans, it was like illegal immigration and taxation.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to come out with this poll, I question the way they're phrasing,
Yeah.
these questions. Like the other one about protecting America. Would you protect America with violence? I'm surprised every Republican didn't say, of course.
Yeah, I'm surprised Democrats didn't say yes too.
Yeah,
I mean, you should protect your.
I'm not-
You have to protect your home,
I'm not surprised.
and they're not saying like
Oh,
protect
yeah.
it from other Americans. The question's just, would you protect your home? Of course, you would protect your home. That question's insane to me.
Right. It's like they're
No-brainer.
assuming that the threat to America that the government's not stopping is like a voter fraud case or something, and like that they
Yeah,
need
they're
to use
thinking
violence.
small.
But if they're talking about actual invasion and a presidential ineptitude, then the answer is yes 100% of the time, or your
Yeah.
country's
Which is
taken
in
over.
our Constitution. Like
Right.
that's an American value. Like
Look, if we remain on this path with this being the ideology that if you say something like that, you're considered far right or bad, well, then this country's going to fall apart. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Violence is a weird conversation, especially just in general. I mean, you do it, of course, online, of course, in public, because you got to be careful about how you phrase violence and frame violence and talking about violence. But like it was the crux of our country's formation. We had to violently overthrow our political rivals, the British monarch, and
Over like 20 years. It wasn't, people don't realize this, that it took like 20 years.
Slow moving, yeah.
Yeah, there were a bunch of things that happened, like the what was it, the Boston Massacre? Is that what am I thinking of the right one?
Yeah.
That wasn't like, these things happened years apart from each other. So we view this history as entirely condensed because it's like the key talking points. But imagine like when we look back on history in 100 years or 50 years, they're going to mention everything that happened in the past 4 years in rapid succession, and people will think it like happened one after another, when it was like the battle for Berkeley happened, what was that now, 2.5 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
Jeez,
a
yeah,
while
wow.
ago.
At
Yup.
least 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was like March of 20. No, it was almost, wasn't it? It's like March or
2017?
April of 2018. Was it 2017?
I don't
It
remember.
might
I
have
gotta
been
look it up.
2017.
No. Oh yeah, I think
It was a long time ago.
that was
Wow.
2017.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, because like after I got back from Sweden.
Yeah.
Wow.
what was that?
Is when this huge battle happened between Antifa and like right-wing groups in Berkeley, and we saw the based stick man. He's like finally
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy
man.
moly.
So this was the rise of the based stick man, they called him, and it was like all these conservatives were getting just absolutely clobbered for a year or two without fighting back, and then one day they do this rally, everybody gets beat up, and then I think it was the second time this dude shows up with goggles, a mask, a helmet, a shield, and a giant stick. I think it was a closet dowel, like for hanging
Yeah.
your
Oh,
clothes.
yeah.
And he cracked it over this Antifa. It was a woman, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
He
Remember, yeah.
cracked it and it shattered
For a
over
while.
someone's head, and they're like, ugh. But it's like I watched this stuff go on for years. In San Jose, I watched that guy get smacked in the back of the head with some kind of bag. His head was a bag of rocks. And he's just a regular guy. He was walking down the street and he was like, yeah, Trump.
Over
and then
an election
what just
bill,
happened?
While
God is speaking to us through the internet.
have been removed.
No, some site just
think so.
auto-loaded. Anyway, so I saw this guy and he's
quite.
got a sign and he's yelling, Trump, Trump, Trump. Some dude runs up behind him and has a bag and whacks him with it. And then he's sitting there covered in blood, like confused as to what happened. That was, I think that was in 2015. I'm not sure. It might have been 2016.
I'm not sure.
It's all
been a
blurs together.
while.
Yeah.
Can't believe how long it's been.
Yeah.
And so we see the battle for Berkeley. It's like finally some right-wing individual started saying enough and fighting back. And then all of a sudden, I remember I was there and I saw Proud Boys there, like 3 Proud Boys. And I was like, what are the Proud Boys doing here? What is this? Who are these guys? Like, why are they here? Why are they fighting? And they're getting arrested now. What's going on? That was when things started to really, really heat up. That was years ago. So it's crazy, isn't it? Imagine in like 50 years, there'll be like the Second American Civil War. And then there'll be like in 2017, a fight broke out in Berkeley, California. In 2020, Donald Trump did this. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That was 3 years later.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That's the other thing, too, that's kind of driving me crazy. It's just like, how long is it going to keep going on for? It's getting boring.
I don't know.
It seems like it started with the housing crisis. I'm trying to just be more like observant from the outside. It seems like it started with the housing crisis is when it really started to get crazy, and then the drone strikes and everything. Like obviously the September 11th was when everyone went on high alert, Patriot Act. Everyone was thinking terrorists are all around me. Oh my gosh, and that kind of heightened the fear. And then, but the housing crisis probably angered a lot of people, and then Obama bailed out those megacorps.
Inequality.
Occupy Wall Street. And then at Occupy Wall Street, you had this bipartisan rage at the system. And then all of a sudden the leftists came in with critical race theory and so, woke activism. And then it just made the conservatives leave. And then honestly, you also had people like Hannity fanning the flames. Like his whole thing was ragging on the left. This was the most annoying thing to me about Occupy Wall Street was that I knew a dude who went on Hannity's show and Hannity started just criticizing and ripping him, going after him. And he just argued back and they fought. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you be like, Sean, you are correct. The people who are doing awful things down there are bad. What do? We don't want them here. This is a bad thing for us. We want to fight against the big banks that are ripping people off and the bailouts and all that system. What would you advise us on? Instead, it was adversarial, like you're our enemy and we don't like you because you're Fox News. And that was a big component of it. Like there's another guy who got a ton of attention because he was interviewed by Griff Jenkins of Fox News. That's his name, right? Griff Jenkins?
I don't know him.
I don't know this name.
Am I getting Griff's name wrong?
Maybe.
Anyway, and
Watch Fox other than Tucker.
they didn't use the interview, and so someone else recorded the interview. I think it was from the Village Voice. I'm not sure, and it went viral because he was like, Fox News only does this, that, and this, and you won't tell what the people are actually doing, and it was kind of true. And then all that really created out of it was like mutual combat between tribes, whereas it was originally a populist uprising with conservatives, libertarians, Ron Paul types, leftists. Within a week, it devolved completely into leftist critical race theory. And then it just fell apart. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.